After the recent beers from this brewery, we do wonder whether they have finally put the nail in the coffin, but they've got one chance of redemption. This is their almost famous New England IPA from Brewdog. What's it going to be like? Keep watching to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. We're racing through these Tesco beers, and now we're going to Brewdog from Scotland. Everyone knows Brewdog, but this is a brand new beer from Tesco. I think it's £3. It's called Almost Famous. It's a 6.8% New England IPA. Now, I haven't sat and watched them, but I've heard some reasonably good things from other YouTubers about this beer. And I'm thinking, really? Brewdog? Have they, have they already fallen by the wayside? Are these the brewery everyone loves to hate? Forget all the stuff about the documentary and the issue, how they treat their staff and all that sort of stuff. Ultimately, the fact is their beer is a little bit shocking. I was at a Brewdog bar, the first time I've been to a Brewdog bar, a couple of weeks ago in London, and I drank Hazy Jane, and I thought, yeah, it's like the craft beer that I drank when I first started this channel. It's all okay. At the time, I probably thought it was quite good, but there was so much better beer out there. And I actually sort of had a few stuck to some of their their guest beers in the end. And I don't really like much of their stuff. I mean, I do like the Duopolis, which I don't seem to do anymore. The Candy Kittens and all the I have the Guava Hazy Jane, that's pretty bad as well. So let's crack this one open and see whether we can get to anywhere near a reasonably decent beer. That's all I'm asking. It's a supermarket beer, so you keep your expectations to some extent in check. But I just want a nice hazy beer. I want it hoppy. I don't want it sort of tasting of weird stuff. Well, beer in a glass, very orange. We've got a compacted 2 and a bit fingers of head. Lovely looking colour that. That looks pretty good. See what the aroma's like. Actually smells really hoppy. Lots of orange and passion fruit. Other citrus fruits. It smells not too bad. Let's see what it tastes like. Cheers, everyone. It's not bad, but it's a long way from being good. Like the aromas, you're getting huge hits of orange and passion fruit. There's something... There's a sort of slight bitterness. Again, we've had it before. We've had it with a lot of beers. When you get that big hit of orange, sometimes that can sort of develop into sort of that orange rind. And you get that sort of little bit of sort of bitterness from like an orange fruit bitterness, really, opposed to a sort of a piney bitterness. It's juicy though. It's definitely juicy. There's lots of flavour in there. Yes, it is a little bit sort of one note. I'm not picking up much else. I'm not picking much in terms of tropical flavours. Maybe there's hints of mango. I mean, obviously passion fruit is tropical, but for me it's very orangey. Bitterness is kept in check, but there is a slight sort of dryness almost on the back end there. It's drinkable. It's fruity. Body wise, it's got a nice sort of soft, sort of medium to light body, but it's almost soft to a creaminess. The body's pretty good. The water and everything is sort of made. I'm sure there's oats in this to give that body a little bit more sort of robustness. But you get that orange and passion fruit, touches of mango, and the flavour does stay there. It just doesn't go anywhere. You're not getting much in terms of. I'm not getting much in terms of grapefruit. I'm not getting much else in terms of other citrus fruits. It's not the worst Brewdog beer I've had, but it's not the best. I still think Hazy Jane's got just a bit more to it. This is, I don't know, because it's Brewdog, I want to give it a better sort of critique than normally, because I know all their beers are so bad. It does taste, there is a hoppiness about it. There is a sort of full-on juice flavour. I don't think it's not up there with like Northern Monk's beers. It definitely isn't. I mean, it's still a long way from being a very good IPA. It doesn't have the sort of the quality of like the Heathen or Scafell or Transient, or even the North, or Order of the North, Keep Order of the Faith, all those not new Northern ones. It's not as good as Alpaca by Salt or Glide by Salt. I'd even say as much as I think there's North beers that are better than this. So it's up. It's just adequate. I think if you just had this for the first time and you saw it on the shelf, oh, Brewdog, I've heard of that, let's try some craft beer, and you had this, you'd probably think it was like the best thing since sliced bread. But there's so much better stuff, even in the supermarkets. And like, if you go beyond the supermarkets, this does taste a little bit like craft beer by numbers. But there is a nice flavour there, and the body's quite good. It's just something not quite there, you know. It doesn't have complexity. It's just got one sort of flavour, which makes you think, you know, is it another one of those sort of beers that's got some artificial stuff sort of added to it just to make it a bit more juicy? I don't know. But I think I've tasted enough. Let's get some scores. Okay, the scores are in for Almost Famous. This is a New England IPA from Brewdog, 6.8%. Doesn't tell us what hops are in it. It says it's a blockbuster of a brew. But, you know, it's almost famous. It's almost quite good, but it's not quite there. That's really what I can take from it. Yes, it's better than a lot of these weird beers that we've had from Brewdog recently, but I still think things like Hazy Jane are better. Duopolis is a better beer. It's not bad, but it's not great in terms of supermarkets, in terms of where there's like, I could probably name half a dozen better supermarket beers than it. And then obviously beyond the supermarket, there's loads and loads of beer. If you want New England IPA, which I feel like I'm an expert, I drink a lot of New England IPA, this is a long way from being a decent one. Starting with the scores though. So first things first, the aroma's not bad. Lots of pungent, hoppy sort of aromas, oranges and passion fruit. That's what you get. And there's a big sort of strong, dominant sort of aromas of orange and passion fruit. It's not bad. I'm going to give it 13. Appearance wise, it's a nice hazy colour. It's not like that, you know, that Hazy Jane Guava. For some reason, it's sort of like, it's not like Hazy Jane, it's not very hazy. But this has got a lovely sort of colour, good sort of body, nice sort of, you know, the head sort of well retained, nice lacing. I'm giving it a solid 8 out of 10 for appearance. Flavour wise, very similar to aroma, orange and passion fruit. There's a slight sort of, that orange sort of develops into a slight sort of orange rind, a little bit of sort of citrusy sort of bitterness. Not really piney, but very sort of citrusy, quite hoppy. The body's good though. It's quite smooth drinking. The carbonation's well in check. The water quality is always good. You know, that stuff up in Elgin, you know, I'm sure their water up in Scotland is quite soft, and that's what it sort of develops here with a beer. And I'm sure there's some oats in it just to give it a little bit more body. It's not bad. I'm giving it 33 for flavour. Value for money. £3, 6.8% IPA. It's a pretty standard, but it's not bad really. I mean, yeah, if it was more, it'd be expensive. You know, sometimes the Brewdogs are a little bit cheap. I'm sure Hazy Janes are like $2.40 or something like that. So I'm giving it a 7 for value. And my overall experience, well, it's not bad, but it's certainly better than a lot of recent IPAs that I've had from Brewdog, or beers just generally. It tastes hoppy. There's some hops going into this. Sometimes they can be guilty of like putting too many adjuncts into their beer and it just going all over the place. But this does have a hoppiness. It's orangey and passion fruit. You think there's going to be some Simcoe and some Amarillo and maybe Mosaic or something like that in there. There's some nice sort of flavour in there. The flavour's sort of quite strong. So I'm giving it 12 for overall experience. Tossing the scores up, we get 73. Still, it's a recommended. It's not bad, but you know, it's a long way. But it's certainly not as good as that Buxton one that I've had. It's actually the same level as the South, but I actually think South is better than this. So not bad, but not great. the best that Brewdog have done for a while, but still a long way from being a very good beer from a supermarket. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let us know if you've had this. Is it better? You know, some people are saying this is a good beer. Whether they're raving about it, I don't know. There's definitely better beers in the supermarket. But let me know what you think in the comments. Is it worth £3 of your money? You know, are Brewdog getting back on track? You know, is this their stepping stone to some really great stuff? Who knows? But for me, I still think Brewdog are a sort of a lower rated craft beer provider, and there's so many better breweries out there, if not all the beers that they do, you know. So, you know, I'm still going to be more likely to hit a grab for a Salt or a Northern Monk or a North Brewery or a Vocation even before I go for a Brewdog in the supermarkets. But let me know what you think in the comments, and until the next one, keep on rocking.